It doesn't begin with the interview, right? When you hire someone, it begins from the very first time you... So what are some of the things that we have in our advertisement? Make sure that you capture the essence of your brand in your advertisement.
Wouldn't it be good though if you could like
Uh-oh.
fire your kids though, not from work, just in general, like.
Okay, so do the introduction again.
All right.
The introduction again.
I don't know. It's your introduction.
Dressing down CEO.
What you want to tell me today?
Good.
No? Okay. Welcome to the Dressing Gown CEO. My name is Ili Ciardiello and we have the lovely Ili Ciardiello along today for something a little bit different.
Why is it different?
It's not different. It's just because we had Michael Kelly in the last episode. So
right.
It's a little bit different from the last episode. Yeah.
Okay.
Today we're going to be talking about hiring and firing and everything in between. And that's because we have a question here, which is, I've heard about hiring slow and firing fast. Can you explain what it is like? So basically, that saying comes from, have you heard of him? Eben Pagan. He's like a
non-religious type.
Did you just say non-religious type?
He's a pagan.
No, that's just his last name.
Right.
He's a well-known entrepreneur, teacher, and tech investor, and he has launched and invested in many companies, and he's actually sold over $100 million of products and services.
Good effort.
Yeah, so he's very qualified to have a very famous quote going around, which is actually hire slowly, fire quickly. So what we're going to talk about today is basically the hiring and the firing process, and then what happens in between as a boss and CEO. So it basically means that you need to be careful in how you hire. Like, don't rush into it. And I know that these days a lot of people who own small businesses, you don't have that luxury because you're growing really quickly and you really need someone in stat, otherwise you're going to have a mental breakdown. But it is really, really important. Like, I've certainly learnt, and I'm guessing you have too, Ili, to hire slowly.
Short-term pain, long-term gain.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've made the mistake of hiring quickly, like a lot.
Well,
but in the last sort of 5 years, we've stopped
doing
that now. Oh, but you remember the early days when we were hiring people, we would just hire them like pretty much like interview 2 people and then hire 1 person from that.
Right.
I'm not going to name names, but remember that one that came in and she was 5 minutes early and she was like, oh, I'm just going to sit here on my phone until it's like 9 o'clock.
Until 9 o'clock on the dot, and then she'd walk in, yeah.
Yeah. And then it was 4 o'clock on the dot and she was out of there.
It's like, aren't you going to finish that email? You're halfway through. No, it's 4 o'clock.
No, it's 4 o'clock. I'm off.
Got to go.
See you later. So, I mean, those kinds of people you can pretty much nut out as you become more experienced as a boss, as a hirer, in the interview process. But even before the interview process, when you are sort of, I guess, vetting them, you can work out whether they're someone who's committed to the job or just committed to the pay.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, it doesn't begin with the interview, right? when you hire someone, it begins from the very first time you what?
I don't know. Sure.
Come on, we went
It's
over
your
this.
podcast.
The advertisement.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So basically, you need to make sure that in your advertisement, you're getting the person that you want to work with your team, work with you. And you obviously want someone who fits into your culture. So what are you going to have in your advertisement?
Well, you're going to make it interesting for one, aren't you?
Yeah. You don't want it to be one of those boring
help wanted
brand who sells foils.
We need a
need
foil
someone
person
to come and work for us.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, you got to have personality, and we actually have quite a few applicants over the years who have said to us that they really love the way that we've advertised, because it really gives you a good idea of the business that you are applying for. So what are some of the things that we have in our advertisement?
Oh, we talked about like meditation and stuff in one of them one time.
Yeah.
Because we wanted people to know that, you know, we are, that we meditate.
Yeah.
Which I guess gives you a bit of an insight into
the kind of people
kind
you're
of
going to be
people,
working for. Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, if you
And
said you're alcoholics or something, then that would be attract a certain kind of people that are alcoholics.
Do you think people wouldn't be attracted to that if you said that you enjoy a good drink after work?
I think that'd be a good idea. Like, you know, on a Friday night we love a good glass of wine or something. You're going to get people that appreciate that.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Okay, I digress. So personality. Make sure that you capture the essence of your brand in your advertisement. If you're not very good at writing and you're not very creative, get someone else to do it, but sit with them and tell them the kind of person. Write down a list of your ideal, you know, you would do it for your clients, right? What's your ideal client? Or you would have a mood board. Well, have a mood board for your prospective employee that you want to hire.
Probably get ChatGPT to do it if you just say, I like these things, write me a job
ad. You could, but it would be very
you'd tweak it,
informal.
Obviously.
And then when you say make it more casual, then it's like, g'day, mate. If you're looking for a good time.
Or a Bonza employee.
A Bonza. Chuck another prawn on the barbie.
Shrimp. I know.
But we don't call them shrimps. It's prawn. Yeah. So also the other thing you want to have in your advertisement is you want to have an accurate description of the role. So again, you need to prepare it. You need to make sure you've got down exactly what it is that you want this person to do and include the shitty stuff.
Yeah, but
that some people may not see as shitty. And I don't see it as shitty, but other people may.
Just don't, you know, if there's a task that is 70% of the role that's not that enjoyable, like you kind of have to mention it. You know what I mean?
Well, I think you should mention that not even 70% of the role. I think, you know, like when we were advertising for admin, but also to do errands and that kind of stuff, you got to mention you'll be taking the bins out, you'll be getting coffees.
Well, you probably wouldn't put taking the bins out in a job application.
It's an example. I think you should.
We talked about in the interview, but you only got a little space.
Well, okay, fine. Don't put you've got to take the bins out in an advertisement.
It's a bit specific.
Unless it's not 70% of the job.
Well, it could be a bin taker out or a...
Yeah, I've seen heaps of those advertised. So what are some perks that we have here at Foilwing?
Well, you know, our staff take a couple of little walks a day when the weather's nice. We tell them to go and get some sun and get out of the office. Coffees, regular coffees. You know, we do some events, you know, dinners and stuff from time to time, and retreat things from time to time.
Yeah, cool. Should you mention pay?
I think put a pay range.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if someone thinks they're getting, you know, 80,000 and you're only offering 60, then there's no point wasting your time with someone who expects a higher salary or whatever. So saves time.
Yeah.
Just put a reasonable range though, because it could, I would put say 60 to 80 or 40 to 60 or whatever. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
As opposed to just saying 50 or 70 or putting a single number.
So 40 to what?
Like a 20,000 range or something.
Wow,
Although
it's a big range.
Well, if you're
it depends it depends what role you're advertising.
Yeah,
for. Like if
junior
you're
or
advertising
senior.
for managing director,
Well, yeah,
then it would be between.
Might be between 100 and 150 or something.
Well,
I don't know.
yeah, because you don't know how much experience the person who's applying. Like if they've never been a managing director, but they have the ability to be a managing director, but it's their very first time doing it with you, then you're going to have to be doing some training with them. You're going to have to hold their hand a little bit more than someone who's very experienced.
Agreed.
And then obviously that's what you pay for. You pay for experience. Guys, you don't pay for years. Just remember that. Experience.
And don't fill it with fluffy stuff. Fluff, like...
What's fluffy stuff?
Like just stuff that's just wishy-washy. Like, be accurate and descriptive. Don't, I can't think of an example, but you read job ads and it's just like, who cares when you're reading it? Like they just...
Yeah.
So don't do that.
Be direct.
Yeah, direct.
Yeah.
And
show your personality. And what we like to do as well is we like to include a test.
Easiest one is just say, please make applications out to, Emily. And then when you get all these, and include a cover letter specifically addressed to Emily.
You're jumping and you're making noise.
And, okay, sorry. And then as soon as you get cover letters in, if they don't say Dear Emily and they say like Dear Hiring Manager or Dear Sir.
Oh, yeah, it's an instant.
Then you just get rid of the application straight away and you cut out probably 50% of applications.
And why do you do that? Like, what is it about them saying Dear Hiring Manager?
Well, because they haven't read the ad, have they? Fully. They haven't paid attention to detail.
Yeah, but it's also they don't care.
Well.
So when you have Dear Hiring Manager, they're just applying
they're applying
different
for
jobs.
every
This
job.
Isn't something that they are like, wow, this is the job for me.
They're specifically applying for your job.
Yeah, I'm going to make a huge effort with this one. Yeah. And then make sure you've got your culture in there, which is what we talked about with the meditation, but your core values. So our team culture is very, very important to us. So we would definitely have that in our application letter.
Yep.
Yeah. So there you go, guys. That is before you even hire someone. It actually starts with the application, and then there's more.
Is there?
There's more.
Okay.
When you start getting candidates replying.
Yes.
Don't you? I mean, you're not just going to hire every single person that replies. So there's a process. Yeah. So the process is you've got to ensure that you have your must-haves. So you have your dot points on what you are actually looking for in the reply application letter. Obviously, you want to see personality in there too.
Yeah.
You want to have a laugh even, or just something that they've said that's quirky or makes you think, oh, they sound like an interesting person.
Yeah, you've got to see some sort of personality in there, I think.
Yeah. And then what are the obvious ones, really?
Well, I don't know. If they got experience.
Yeah, 100%. And if they reply to anything that you said about your team culture.
Yeah.
That's important as well. All right, so then you've shortlisted them. We tend to shortlist anyone really who ends up being someone that's impressed us.
Yeah.
So we don't have all right, we're going to shortlist it to 10 and then that's it. We're not going to read anymore. We give everybody a go.
A pretty big shortlist at first, depending.
Yeah. Then what you do is you call them. Now we do like a pre-interview.
Yeah, phone interview.
Yeah. We actually call them to catch them off guard because then they're bringing out their real personality. They haven't prepared for it, like with an interview. And then that's when you can ask, the really important questions too.
Deal breaker stuff.
Yes, the deal breaker.
Whatever's a deal breaker. So if you need a full-time, but you're open to someone that can work, say, 30 hours a week even, or if, whatever, like stuff that just you have to have, otherwise the job cannot be done.
Yeah.
Ask that on the phone.
Yeah.
And get it in.
Yeah, 100%. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time because they get there and then you realise, oh, this isn't the right person for us because they have deal breakers. So, yeah. Then you tell them, I'm going to email you a time and date. Obviously, you make that time and date for an interview over the phone. If you like them over the phone, if you don't connect with them or you feel like, they're probably not a good match, then what do? Sometimes we let them know.
Sometimes we let them know, thanks, but
we're looking for something.
If it's really different. Obvious, if there's still a maybe very small chance, we just say we'll let you know via email if we would like an in-person interview. Yeah.
And then if we don't, then we
email and say.
Make sure you always follow through. Like, if there's nothing worse, right, than someone going to all this effort, applying for a job, you get a phone call from the employer, or you even get an email saying an interview, and then you're ghosted.
Yeah, it's not very nice.
Like, it's not nice at all. So we always follow through.
Just tell.
Obviously, we don't like rejecting people, but it's better that you reject them than just leave them hanging. Yeah. Cool. And then you have the interview. So what do we look for in an interview?
Well, on time is always a good start.
Oh, yeah.
Dressed.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't have to be like, depends what the job is, I suppose. If you're asking a manager, you'd want someone very well dressed, I suppose. If you want someone that's a bit more of a admin-y, like office assistant-y type thing, then,
They still have to be well dressed.
Well, yeah. I mean, they can't walk in with, I don't know. Can't think of something.
Well, no midriff, no boobs for me. No boobs, no midriff showing.
So for me, it's fine. Is that what you're saying?
I'm just pointing out for me, that's not something I don't want a woman walking around the office like that in front of my husband. So, controversial. There might be some people listening going, excuse me, it's so different now. You're so old school. But for me, it's our business, and I don't really want that kind of.
I guess I'll have to get that elsewhere then, won't I?
What I also look for is initiative, so that they have actually gone out of their way to research, stalk you and your brand, and you can tell by the things that they say if they even divulge, I went onto your website or that kind of thing. That's always a tick for me.
Or if you ask them, what do you know about our business, and they say, I don't know.
Yeah, then it's like, okay, thanks for your time.
Oh, yeah, that's the other. And you cut interviews short. Like, if you really, we've done that. If it's just, there are no way on earth you would ever hire them for whatever reason.
It's harsh, but
you just,
time, guys.
There's no point sitting there for an hour when you're never going to hire them. So tell them to say, thanks for the interview.
Yeah.
That's all we need,
and if there's more than one of you interviewing, then you need to have a code word before you start in the interview, or some kind of code.
Well, what we do is we have a list of questions, and then we have a one page them that we ask, no matter what. And then if it's going well, then we go to page 2. If it's not going well, we kind of just look at each other and go, no, cross something off, and then you kind of.
You want to know if they can do the job. So your questions need to be around previous experience, previous examples of them carrying out the job. But also you can get them to do, there's no law saying you can't, you can get them to do a little trial in the interview. So that's what we do. We get them to write an email.
Yeah, we give them a little task.
And then pretend to be a customer on a phone.
Yeah, we've done that before.
Yep. So yeah,
put them to the test.
Obviously, this is all depending on what.
Well, yeah, I mean,
role you're asking.
If you're asking for a hairdresser, then you probably aren't going to get them out onto the floor and get them to cut someone's hair in the interview.
Why not? You could have a model.
Oh, right. Well,
you can have a model right there, ready to go.
You could do that.
You can ask questions about, ethics. So we've asked questions before in regards to honesty, and we've said you're at Coles or Woolies and you have been given more change. This was back when people used money all the time. You've been given more change than you should have. What do? You
get an extra $10 in your change than what you should have or something.
Yeah.
What do? Do you give it back or do you keep it and walk away and say nothing?
Yeah. And so someone did actually say,
yeah, I'd keep it.
I'd keep it because they're like a big corporation and, they rip off people all the time. And I'm like, okay, cool. That may be true,
not the
but
answer
it's not,
we want.
It's not ethical, is it?
No.
It doesn't fit with our core values, but it may fit with other.
Well, if you agree with them, then great.
If they agree with that. Yeah. All right. So what do we do though, Ili? Like we go through the interview process and there's 2 or even 3 people that we've interviewed that we're like, wow, I cannot make a decision.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
Well, what we did one time is we asked them both if they'd be prepared to come in for a couple of hours on a different day to do like a trial.
Yeah.
And that does 2 things. One, if they say yes, it shows they're committed to the job. So that's something.
Yeah.
If they say no, well, then it shows they don't maybe want it that bad, and that answers your question for you.
All right. And then it's also beneficial doing that because you can see how they interact with the team.
Yeah.
Because they might be interacting well with you, but they might be putting it on because you're the boss.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see how they interact with the team. And then once they go, then you chat to the team one-on-one with the team. So don't do it in a big group because one person might say something and the rest will be like, oh, yeah, I agree. Chat to your team one-on-one and how they... what they think about
honestly,
that person and if they could work with them and all that kind of thing. Obviously, you want to see how quickly they learn, but not just how quickly, but how they learn. So do they ask questions? Are they writing things down? Are they showing initiative? All of that kind of thing as well. Yeah. So you hire someone, you give them a call, you say, congratulations, we'd love for you to come and work with us. We're looking forward to it. Your starting date is this. Then they come in, everything's going great, and you do what? So this is like the in-between. So when you have an employee, do you just leave them to their own devices?
Well,
apart from obviously the training, but do you just leave them to their own devices?
No.
What do you do?
Well, you got to check in on them often, especially in the first week or 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Catch ups and make sure that things are going all right.
Yeah.
And then in the key thing, if they're not doing something well, you have to tell them, like, don't let people do something that you're not happy with, because then if they start off like that, they're going to keep doing it, So because they don't know, and it might not be anything about skill level. It might just be that they think this is a good way to do it, but through years of experience, it's not. So you need to correct it straight away.
Yeah.
And then see how they take feedback and criticism too.
Yeah.
And you do all this stuff in the first, 3 months. You're going to do a lot of watching and catch-ups and stuff because...
Yeah. And catch-ups outside of the office as well.
Yeah, take them outside of the office.
Yeah, because employees are definitely... Your team is different when you take them out into a different environment outside of the office. They become more... more willing to speak openly.
Yeah, it's a bit more casual. I don't know. maybe a bit more comfortable to talk outside of the office.
Yeah, and shout them, coffee or lunch while you're out with them.
Not wines and stuff. I wouldn't
Probably
recommend.
not get into the
Spirits
piss early on, because that would set, and you've got to set a precedent as well. So if you start splashing money around early and taking them out for coffees and wining and dining them early, then that's what they're going to expect all the time, kind of thing as well. So you got to, treat them mean, keep them keen.
I don't know if that's good advice. Really.
No, it's not. It's a joke.
Okay.
It's totally a joke. And our team know that. Our team, if they're listening, they'll be laughing. They know that. Cool. All right. So hiring. So we do like weekly catch-ups for the first 4 weeks. Then we'll take them out at around the 6-week mark. Then after around 3 months, we'll catch up with them with the actual job role description.
Yeah, a bit more of a formal one.
Work. Yep. I recommend doing, at least 6 months probation.
I think legally within 6 months anyway is it depends on the size of your business, but I think if you're a small business, I think legally within 6 months, even if it's in the contract or not, you can. Even
what I've learnt now, even 1 year is great, because if it's really not working out and you don't realise, you need to give them some time.
Well, yeah,
you need to give them time.
You should know within 6 months. I think if they get to 6 months, you're probably going to be.
I don't know. Sometimes, we've had an employee who was with us for longer than 6 months, and they started going downhill around about the 9 months. So I think it's better to cover your ass and have a 12-month probation.
I don't know.
Which means you can fire them straight away. It's not any legal battle or anything.
Yeah, you'd have to check legal requirements in each state.
Well,
I think in SA, if you have a business with less than 15 employees, I think you can fire someone within the first year without the written warnings and all that sort of stuff. But if you have 20 plus employees or something, then you can't. I don't know. There's different requirements, but
100%. Don't quote us on anything.
This is just
what we
legal
do.
Employment advice.
No, this is just what we do.
Do your own research.
Cool. And so then pay rise. So I've got pay rise here ? Because my thing is I don't like giving a pay rise just because it's been a year or 2 years or 3 years. I want to see that person has progressed and that the return on investment on that person is well and truly worth, getting a pay rise. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, some companies offer CPI every year, and it's fine if you want to do that. And, I think annual pay reviews should definitely be done, but a pay review could mean a pay rise, or a pay review could mean that, hey, your pay is actually around what we feel is fair, because, you're performing the job as needed, but you're not doing anything above, to earn more.
Yeah.
So I think annual pay reviews are good, but it doesn't necessarily mean just guaranteed a pay rise.
No.
That's the way I see it.
No.
Unless you have CPI stuff.
But I do think a lot of youth today, when I say youth, in between your 20s and 30s.
Right.
I do think that they think, just because another year's gone by, that they then need to get a pay rise.
Yeah, a lot of people think that.
I guess you gain experience during that
you would,
year.
You would hope so, but some roles, some roles maybe you're just doing the same. Let's say it's a data entry role in your job is to enter 500 lines into a spreadsheet every day.
Yeah.
I don't know who's actually doing that job, but you probably wouldn't really offer much of a pay rise for that, because there's not really a chance to excel. But I can't imagine someone doing 40 hours a week of that anyway.
Yeah. But in the hairdressing industry, like in a salon, obviously you've got your first year, your second year.
Oh yeah, well you assume they're skilling up each year and deserve more money. As an apprentice, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, you would assume that they're gaining experience every single minute
get paid
that
more.
they're there, so then get more. So everything worked out well for the interview, worked out well for the first kind of probationary period, but things start going downhill. And you start to think this person isn't right for my business. Now, this is where it gets a little bit emotional, I think, and a little bit tricky. No. It depends on the person, obviously. Some people are like eagles and they're happy to fire.
Someone you might want out the door like yesterday.
Yeah. But what we have learnt is to fire as soon as like things are starting to go downhill and you've checked in with them.
Yeah, well, to clarify that, like you can't fire someone when things start going down. You got to, one thing start going downhill.
No, that's not what I meant.
Okay.
Because I haven't done that, have I?
No.
I haven't just fired someone.
No.
We give them chances.
You give them chances and explain what's happening, how your performance is not as good or whatever. Do we need training? You know, you've got to go through that whole thing. And, but you got to give them the opportunity to come back up again, don't you?
Yeah, and you've got to have those regular catch-ups. Like if someone is not performing, you know, at least bi-weekly, I would be checking in with them and letting them know that, you know, I've noticed that things aren't going as smoothly for you in your role as they have in the past. Is there anything going on?
Yeah, it could be something outside of work impacting them and whatever.
Yeah.
So you got to do your investigations and really, you know, like, because you definitely don't want to fire someone if it was fixable, because you think of all the time you put into training.
Yeah.
And all the time you got to hire, you know, it's a nightmare.
It's so expensive.
So you want to make sure, but when you know and you've done all that stuff, and you got to listen to your gut too. If something's not right, like you got to listen to your gut.
Yeah.
Then once you know categorically, it's like, all right, we've given them a chance. We've offered training. We've had these chats every week. And things are still not improving.
Yeah.
And especially if the rest of the team are like not happy either because of this person.
And you've got to make sure you're making notes each time you have a catch up or each time something happens.
Record it, dates, times.
Yeah.
You've got to cover your butt.
Yeah. And it is a really good idea as well when you're having these conversations to have someone else in the room so that, you know, they can vouch for you that everything was fine on your side of things, that you didn't say or do anything that they have accused you of saying or doing. So let's just go through that checklist again. Make sure you make notes. Make sure you have performance catch-ups regularly with them. Offer training and support always, every single conversation you have. What about if they're just not fitting in? So what about if the performance is fine?
Yep. But they're just not nice people, or they...
Yeah, or they're just... You just have that feeling that they just are not enjoying being in your team. They're not bonding with the rest of your team.
That's a hard one.
It is hard.
Because you can't fire them if they're performing their job and they're not messing up.
Yeah. So
that's one of those ones where you have to have a conversation and be truthful. It's like, hey, Johnny,
okay, cool.
It looks like you're not really enjoying working here anymore. You know, maybe it's time to go elsewhere and sort of imply that, you know. But then if they're like, no, it's fine, I'm good.
Well, that's happened with us, hasn't it? Like where we thought that, you know, one of our team members wasn't really keen on working at Foil Me anymore, and it was just the way that they express themselves. It was different to what we would think, and now they're an absolute rock star. So,
but if someone just truly doesn't fit in and they're skilled, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how you have to ask them. You know, it would be an unpleasant conversation. I wouldn't want to be in that position where you basically have to say to someone, look, no one really likes you here. It's probably best you move on. And it would be awkward.
Well, I don't think you would say no one really likes you.
if you want to make it awkward so they leave.
Yeah, I think it would be more, you don't seem to be enjoying the role anymore.
That might be too soft. You know, some people are oblivious. You just have to like spell it out for them.
Mm.
So you'd want to make it.
I don't think you're a cultural fit here for our team.
Yeah, please leave.
Please.
I don't know if you can do that. Once again, not advice. Like, not,
No.
don't quote us on anything.
It's definitely not advice, no. All right. Well, that's the saying, which is hire slow, fire fast.
And you'll never.
But we didn't really get to the fast bit.
Well, once you've made that decision, don't drag it out because you don't want to do it. That's where it comes in.
That's
It's
the
like,
key.
It's just bite the bullet and do it that day, or like once you've made the decision and you 100% know. Like we've done that in the past where we know this person's got to go, but we're sort of sat on it for another week or 2 or 3, and you have this knot in your stomach. It's awful.
Oh, and you just feel sick.
So once you've made the decision, literally that day, or whatever, the next day at the latest, just go, right, call them in.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah. And, it's not pleasant. But let's put it to you guys. I would love to hear in the comments what your experience is. And if you have had a situation where the person wasn't a good cultural fit, how did you go about removing them from your business? Yeah. Removing them. Just like picturing these 2 security guards coming in and picking them up.
You could probably hire someone. That's probably there's a business opportunity for anyone out there. Nobody likes to fire people, right? So imagine if your business was, your sole business job was to go in and fire people on behalf of small business owners.
All right, guys. Well, hopefully that was informative for you. But we are going to stretch it out a little bit. We're talking about our kids. So those of you who don't have kids and you're not interested,
you can turn it off now.
You can turn it off. Make sure you give us a 5-star review. If it's not 5-star, then don't bother, because I'm not going to listen to it or be happy. No, I'm joking. If you do have feedback for us, please let us know. We love to improve wherever we can, just as we do with our products for Foil Me. It's the same with everything that we do. We love getting feedback so that we can keep improving.
Yeah.
But if it's in regards to the aesthetics of our podcast, I do just want to, I guess, remind people who, if this is the first time you're listening, this is the unpolished CEO. So that's why we've got the cupboard open. We've got the pantry. We're sitting in our kitchen. We don't have professional lighting. We just have this and a phone with a tripod. So things are very raw, real, and unpolished here for the dressing gown CEO.
Even with
that's
dirty dinner plates on our bench.
That was breakfast this morning, pancakes with lemon. It was beautiful. Yum, yum. So what we're going to talk about now is, what if you have kids who work for your business? Can't fire them.
Well, that's not true.
Well, it's a little bit tricky.
It depends on if they're employed or if they're just helping out. So our kids have just sort of helped out. They're not like legally employed. They've like come in and helped. No. And that's easy. You can just say, don't come back.
Or you just don't ask them.
But if they're legally employed, it's the same with anyone else. Obviously, you could probably have a bit more of an honest discussion with them, though. It's like, hey, little Johnny.
Okay.
We don't think, you're really suited for this role. Why don't you go and get another job somewhere? Like, if it's your kid, you've got to
put on the boss hat, don't you? Like, literally have different hats and tell them, look, I am not your dad. I'm not your mum when we're at work. I am your boss. So when I'm with you and I'm having a one-on-one with you, I'm going to put on the boss hat or the boss jacket.
Or the boss dressing gown.
The boss dressing gown, exactly. My work one is blue. The one when I'm at home is red. So,
I don't think the kids know that.
No. Well, I don't think they care.
Well, they don't work for us anymore now.
No, they don't. We tried it.
We tried it for a year on and off with our eldest, who's now 15 and a half.
He was quite young though, I guess.
Yeah, he did
For packing. He was only packing, guys. He wasn't doing any creating of foils or anything like that.
No, but and ages and different jobs. It depends. Like there's so many variables, but I think the kids should be involved in a business in some way, so they understand what mum and or dad go through.
Yeah.
If they're good at it and they like it, then great. If they don't, but they have, if you're tight on finances or you just need help, then you just make them do it, just like anything else at home. It's like, right, little Janie
now. Yeah.
You need to come into the salon or the office on Monday. We need your help, on the weekend, whatever. Wouldn't it be good though if you could like fire your kids though, not from work, just in general, like let's just say you got a really bratty kid like we do. It's like, right, sorry, son, this isn't working out.
Yeah.
We're gonna replace you with another
Great,
child. See you later.
You could hire and fire your kids depending on like what you need from.
Yeah, so it's just not working out, son, is it? I think you should go find another family.
Yeah.
Kids, huh?
Yep. Well, speaking of, we've got one at the gym at the moment and then one in the room, and we told him not to come out.
We locked him up. A padlock on the door.
No, that's not. Oh my God. No, there's no padlock on the door, guys. He's just playing.
But we left him there with a bowl of water and some snacks, so he's fine.
He's okay.
He's fine.
He'll rattle, like in a jail cell.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, isn't it funny how they have probation? That's what they call it, probation in like
when you
employees.
Get out of jail.
Yeah. When you get out of jail, it's probation.
You're on probation.
And
then when you get a job, you're on probation.
So what are they trying to say?
I don't know. Having a job is like being in prison.
Yeah. It's a good prison though.
You got to do something. Job. Well, if you're doing a job you hate, it would be much the same, wouldn't it? Like I've done jobs I hated and it felt like a prison.
Yeah, absolutely.
I get it.
Yeah. All right, we're not going to waste any more of your time, guys.
That's it.
We are done. Dusted, done diddly dusted, Flanders, Simpsons.
This is when I go now.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, thanks. Thanks for being a host.
Dressing down CEO.
No.